All right. Now, I'm Max Fairo, and this is Dexsignals, and this is a segment we refer to as working from home and a mental workout. And working from home automatically, if it sends shivers down your spine, then this might be something that might be right up your alley because anything really good and worth it usually isn't very easy. Okay. It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort and a little bit of history. Okay. I've worked from home for about 7 years now. I have more trades than Hershey has chocolate. And it's unfortunate, because my mom and my grandfather always said, find something you want to do. Max, you got to find something you really want to do and stick to it. But I'm sorry. I couldn't find what I really wanted to do, so I kept on looking. I kept on building. I knew that I wanted to be independent. I've worked for myself for a very long time, but working from home always scared the hell out of me. And in the very beginning, it was very difficult. I made this choice right after a work-related incident, and I mean, almost took my life kind of incident. And in doing that, I began to rethink my own value. What am I worth? And that's the toughest part, from working from home for me, is really knowing how much am I worth. And you know what? And if this is out there in the world right now and you're watching this, I'm referring to, for me, as a person who's built a lot of different things. But it all really depends on how some of you that are in the chat room right now, you might be already working at home, but in a different field. That might be your full-time job. You might be an MLMer, you might be a transcriptionist, or you might be whatever, envelope stuffer. It doesn't matter what it is. If you're making the effort to do so, knowing your own personal value is the biggest step in success from working from home. Now, success from working from home doesn't equate to $1 million paycheck. Success equals proficiency from working from home. I wanted to do what I loved and be profitable while I did it. Okay. And that first year, like I said, was a nightmare because I was in a completely wrong frame of mind. I've never really took the seriousness of what it was to work from home until one thing happened, until I made my office. And to be honest, making my office the best thing I could have ever done, because it solidified the idea that it was my place. So here's some tips. Even if it's just a simple office in a closet somewhere, or tucked away in a room, or sectioned off in one part of your bedroom, or what have you. And that's, by the way, if you can avoid it, do not put your office in the bedroom, okay? If you're a family guy or a woman, or you want any relationship whatsoever later on, looking over while you're trying to be somebody. I don't even know if I should go there. But even seeing your office and your computer and emails dinging off is not the kind of romantic the atmosphere that you want for your place. So if you can find a separate area that can call your own, make it, okay? But make it quiet. Let your family know that this is your time to work. You have to set your times. You have to set your rules. Just like you get up right now and go to a particular place and go to a job, even if you're doing this part-time, you're still doing it, okay? So part-time mentality here as well is that that's still your office. That's still your job. You have to make that time. You got to make it quiet because you need to study. You need to look. You need to be. You have to make it usable as well. Just an office is not your calculator and a notepad. Sorry, you definitely need a computer. Depending also if you're, for us here, we're here at Dex, and I'm giving this little lecture here, but it's about whatever you're going to do, the tools that you have. Like if you're an envelope stuffer, you got to make sure you got all your gear, right? Little things for your fingers, for paper cuts. For me, I'd be riddled with cuts all over my hands, probably bleed to death. But the idea here is that your tools are very important. They make you prepared in what you need to do. Like an example, your 20-year-old laptop isn't a tool to use. If you're using a computer that's outdated and you can't afford that kind of stuff, then it is not time to make the change. You have to prepare yourself. You have to prepare the others that are around you as well. If you don't prepare yourself and others, they will never take you seriously and will always interrupt. They'll There'll always be these things that'll happen that'll never make you successful. Remember, success is not millions of dollars, it's proficiency, and that's what you're looking for. So making it usable. And one of the last tips I'll give you here is you got to make it end. Okay, you got to make an end of the day. You got to make the time stop for you. And before any of you people in the chat room who know me well say anything, yes, I suck at this. Okay, hence why I was in the chat room till 1 o'clock in the morning. Gotcha. I'm a workaholic. It's my baby. Right? Most of you are. The ones that are going to be successful, even the ones, all the ones that have the names. Here, let me show you something, right? And please bear with me, and I'm sorry, Paul. Hang on 1 second. Let me see if I can find this real quickly. Do. 1 second. I do apologize. Okay. Let me get back in there and change everything over. Okay. I want you to see this, okay? Now, this doesn't mean that you all have to do this, but Paul Davey is a very dear friend of mine, and he's been a partner of mine for several years now, a couple of years now. And I know that he was in the military for a long time, and he has a work ethic like you wouldn't believe. And for him, I know he has children that he loves, and I always hear him going out and doing. He has a life, and he does all these. He's a family man. You know, I've watched him on Facebook. I've seen his family. I've watched him and his wife. They have these parties, and they have these things that they do, and it's beautiful. You want to talk about success in my eyes, and even if it's not $1 million, the success is the Paul Davey. Because the work that he does, because he's a workaholic as well, and I can tell that. This is one day, and I want you to notice the time here. The time is 1:24 a.m. Okay, now that's his time. He's over in England, okay, so he's on the Jersey Islands, but that's his time, right? But as you go down, you start seeing 2 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock. This is a 15-hour day, folks. A 15-hour day to get to this. One contract apiece. If he does, now, a 15-hour day equates to $208. Yes, you're probably saying to yourself, I need $1,000. How do I have 15? I can't do it. But you can. With consistency starts to equate volume. Consistency plus volume equals your goal. Now, if Mr. Davey, because he doesn't have a lot of risk that he can do at those particular times till he builds his balance up, he can only risk one trade at a time, one contract at a time. But imagine if he had a balance that he could risk 2, this would have been 416. If he could have risked 4, it could have been 832. You see where this is going? The power of what you do in consistency in favor of you making it successful at your office, making it happen, doing. Now that takes prowess, that takes dedication, that takes timing. He is a wonderful scalper, and he's done the Trader's Mind series. And let me tell you right now, doing that kind of work and having that kind of consistency, that yield will stay with him forever. Because once you get it and you become consistent, the whole thing becomes reliable, right? Because it never goes away. The pathway to getting your work at home goal is very important. So you have to have, it takes time and effort, but mentally, this is all about your reason, right? Paul's reason's one thing. My reasons is to be at home and be with my children. So I love playing with my kids. I love joking around with my wife, and we love doing all these wonderful things together. And even in building this company, folks, even building this company and working hard and having all the things that have happened, I have still had just a wonderful life with my family. I have a home here in New Hampshire. I have a home down in Pennsylvania. We have such a wonderful life. It's because of the ethics and the work and everything else that we have done, and we have our reasons. And it's our reasons that drives us. Some of those reasons are the people that are in the chat room right now. I do this for people like you. Part of me does this for people just like you, because if I can do it, what great feelings it is for me to hear other people doing it. Okay? For whatever reason you're doing it, because you want to be close to your kids or family, you want less of a commute, you want more time. Well, unfortunately, guess what, folks? Anybody who tells you, come work at home, you'll have more time. Bullshit. You won't. You won't have more time. How you use that time is up to you. But it takes more to work from home than it does to go to a job. It does. I'm sorry. Even with your commute and everything else. It takes more. It takes more effort. It takes more. But once you get it, you can start honing it. And I'll show you that here in just a minute. Bragging rights. Definitely bragging rights. Because once you start working from home, the look on somebody's face when they go, hey, what do you do? I work from home. Well, yeah, what do you do? I work from home. I do everything. I stuff envelopes. I like things on Facebook. I do everything. I build websites. I promote. I trade. Whatever. Okay? Because once you get it, once you really get it, reminding yourself is nothing but waking up in the morning and knowing that you have work to do. And even if you're doing it starting part-time, it's still a start. You're still doing it. And even if it's an hour a day, still devote your entire effort and everything you do into that hour. Because if you don't, you're never going to get there. That I can guarantee you. You're never going to get there unless you start it and start making it work. Become consistent. Sort of ends this little segment here. But I want to thank you for listening to that rant and hope to see you inside.